I don't want money though. Like,
I know you don't, but I don't know what else to do.
Caption says, my dad's trying to buy me off from getting a vaccine.
you didn't do this to Michael and Kelsey. They already got it.
You think I know that?
This is really sad. This is from 2021, guys.
Don't you think I know that? Why do you think I'm fucking crazy? Your mother got it. Why do you think I'm fucking crazy? My family is gone. My family is gone. By the end of this flu season, most of you will be dead. What the fuck do you expect me to be?
Okay.
People believed that. People believed the nonsense being spread about the vaccine at the time so much that they were willing to pay their friends and family members thousands of dollars to not get vaccinated. That is the power of propaganda. Honestly sad. And I got a voicemail about it. Somebody asking me about this very specific clip. So I wanted to give it a listen, see what they had to say. Check this out.
Hello, Owen. My name's Gray. I'm from Oregon. Big fan, first-time caller. Wanted to ask, you remember the guy who believed his family was going to die for getting the vaccine? The guy was in tears trying to bribe his daughter, with money not to get the vaccine. I want to know, how is there like a redemption arc in that story? The guy realized, oh, I was wrong because, when nobody died from the vaccine. Anyway, thanks for all you do. Have a good one.
Yeah, I appreciate the voicemail. Generally speaking, there is no redemption arc. People in this type of headspace tend to move from thing to thing to thing. Culture war issue to conspiracy theory to culture war issue. They just keep moving down the line, and when they're proven wrong unequivocally, they just forget they ever said it in the first place. That's usually how it goes, until it comes up again in the future, and then they reassert their already held beliefs. Kind of sad how it works, but we can see examples of it all through society. It's like a constant thing that we see taking place. That was by no stretch of the imagination the only example of people making bizarre, unhinged claims about what was going to happen after you took the vaccine. Check this one out. This is Stu Peters. I think this is from 2021 also. He's talking to Deanna Lorraine. Listen to what he had to say on this one.
Those that tell me that I am a raging lunatic.
He is.
Those that tell me, what science do you have to be giving this advice? It's a shame and it's scary that you have a platform and you're telling people to wait on this vaccine.
That's not what he was saying, actually. He wasn't telling people to wait on the vaccine. He was telling people that would give them full-blown AIDS. There's a distinct difference between what he just described and what he was actually doing. But okay, go on.
Those people are going to be the ones that end up going to get the injection. Those people will be the ones that end up falling over and dying.
Hey, I'm on my 4th dose, baby. What happened? I thought I was going to fall over and die. This is like a couple years old now. And here we are. We're all still standing. Weird, huh? Kind of contradicts your original claim, doesn't it? But once again, doesn't matter if it contradicts his original claim. Doesn't matter if he's been proven wrong. The dude will believe anything. And when he's proven wrong, he ignores it. He pretends it never came up. He pretends he never said it. Or he pretends he never saw the evidence that disproved it in the first place. That's the nature of a conspiracy mindset. You see it in religious cults too. Jehovah's Witnesses experience the exact same type of cognitive dissonance. That's really what this boils down to. There's a book written in, I think, 1954 by a guy named Leon Festinger. That's the guy's name. Leon Festinger, okay? Book's name was When Prophecy Fails. The book was all about a UFO cult from the 1950s or the 40s, I think, called the Seekers. They believed to the bottom of their hearts that a UFO was going to come and pick them up and bring them to outer space. And then on, I think, December 21st was their claim, the world is going to experience a gigantic flood that was going to wipe everybody out. But they were going to be saved by the space aliens that picked them up just the day before. The day comes and goes. Nothing happens. They aren't picked up. They claimed to be in communication with the aliens telepathically. two specific people. And there was like a group of, I don't know, 50 people or something that followed them and believed everything they said. So what happened when the aliens didn't come? Cognitive dissonance kicked in. Leon Festinger wrote this book, When Prophecy Fails, all about the concept of cognitive dissonance. In fact, that's where the term was first invented. That's who invented it, was Leon Festinger. Cognitive dissonance fundamentally is a stress in the brain that is induced by your beliefs not correlating with reality, being out of sync with reality. And people will find different ways of alleviating this anxiety that they experience when they discover their lives or reality is out of sync with their beliefs. They usually find 4 different ways. But the 2 I want to focus on are they will evangelize and try to convince everybody around them that they were right all along and that they're still right. The more people they can bring in under the umbrella, the more people they can convince, the less stress they experience from cognitive dissonance, the more it alleviates that pain. That's the first way. And the second way is to modify their beliefs into a new story that can encompass both their previously held beliefs and reality simultaneously. So, for example, we've got Stu Peters here saying, people who get the vaccine are going to drop dead in the next 12 months. 12 months come and go, and what's his response now? They didn't drop dead. Well, the government came in, and in the second boosters, they gave people an antidote to the first one to extend it so that they didn't drop dead from the first one. He will modify, he didn't say that. I'm just giving an example of how people modify their currently held beliefs to fit a new narrative that matches their old beliefs and reality simultaneously. That's generally how people deal with it. Or they just ignore it completely. They just completely forget they even said it, push it out of their heads, and gaslight themselves into believing that they never said it in the first place. It's honestly sad. It's honestly sad and very difficult to pull somebody out of something like this. Leon Festinger followed the Seekers around until the end of their lives. He followed them around heavily for months, years, I think. And finally, the UFO cult broke up and moved to different parts of the country. And then he tried to keep track of them after that, contact them every now and then, ask them a couple of questions and move on with their lives. But that's how it goes. People will do absolutely anything to avoid that anxiety in their mind induced by the fact that they believed something that is not cohesive with reality. Keep listening to what Stu Peters says here.
That end up falling over and dying. And that sample group of people, we will be in a better place without them. Sadly, I don't know.
That's dark, dude. That's really dark. It's like he's celebrating or excited at the possibility that people who got vaccinated to protect themselves from a deadly virus may disappear from planet Earth. It would be sad. I would be really sad for this guy if he weren't so deeply depraved in the things that he says and does. Hillary Clinton years ago said most people who support Trump or vote for him are fine, nice, upstanding people and just want to better their lives and everybody else's and are just being misled. A small portion of them are absolutely deplorable. That's actually what Hillary Clinton said back in 2016. He falls into that deplorable category. He is absolutely depraved with some of the things that he says, does, and believes. And this is one of those things.
In a better place without them. Sadly, I don't know. I'll probably get kicked off the air for saying that.
How could he possibly be kicked off the air? He owns his own website. He releases all of his own stuff. He's not beholden to a network or an app or anything like that. He's just playing a victim card to make people feel bad for him and worry about him and donate money to him. It's ridiculous. It's like InfoWars. His website's set up very similarly to that.
I'll probably get kicked off the air for saying that. But you know what? I will never lie. I will never lie on this platform, and that's just the truth. Deanna Lorraine, shots fired.
I felt guilty for thinking that last night, but I was thinking maybe Darwin's theory is true.
Wow, maybe Darwin's theory is true. And the fact, okay, I'm not even going to touch that. Okay. Anyways, yeah, thank you so much for the voicemail. It was a really interesting question, and sadly, we don't have a resolution for that guy, but I would be willing to bet anything that he has either forgotten all about it, moved on to another conspiracy theory, tried to evangelize to bring more people under the tent, or changed his beliefs to be more cohesive with reality, even if they are more radical. Honestly sad.
Yeah, this is Mark in California again. I forgot. I also wanted to thank you for the information and learning that I've gotten from you on evangelical and the way that you use the term evangelical, because I used to actually call myself an evangelical, but after seeing how Kenneth Copeland and people like Kat Kerr are also called evangelicals, I've actually I've distanced myself from using that name, and I no longer use that name. So I just wanted to thank you again for the education, and yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Evangelical is a complicated term because it actually encompasses a number of different groups. It's not just like Kenneth Copeland and, all the other televangelists, Hank Kunneman and Mario Murillo and all those people. They heavily identify with the evangelical movement, but Jimmy Carter is actually like one of the nicest, best guys alive. Builds houses for the homeless and doesn't hate anybody for anything. And he identifies as an evangelical. But the meaning of the term is changing a lot. Historically, it has encompassed a lot of different groups, including, but not limited to, black evangelicals. There are black evangelical churches that have a completely different culture than the standard evangelical movement. But Kenneth Copeland and all the other Christian nationalists have taken the term evangelical on as their own and in many ways redefined it to fit their needs more closely. And in my opinion now, the term evangelical is only really used to refer to a very specific small subset of the population. Although technically, if you look at scientific data, demographics, and polls and things, the evangelical movement does include around 80 million people. I think the evangelical movement, as defined by Kenneth Copeland, only really encompasses around 20 to 30 million people, give or take. That's just my rough guess. It's hard to tell, really. But anyway, yeah, I'm glad that I could help in some small way. Hopefully that added context to the meaning of the term evangelical.
It's Alan from Indiana. I was wondering, do you think that the whole QAnon would have started if there was ranked choice voting? Do you think that'll get rid of all the Biden is evil and Trump is God stuff?
That's an interesting question. I think QAnon would have existed either way. Here's the interesting thing. Conspiracy theories, there's no evidence that conspiracy theories are more widespread in society today. It's always been roughly 15%, give or take, worldwide. This includes like the EU and everywhere. Roughly 15% of the population believes in some type of conspiracy theory. But here's where QAnon comes into the picture, okay? 15% of the population will believe, before QAnon anyways, or before, especially before the advent of the internet, would believe in some little lesser known conspiracy. So you go to Thanksgiving dinner with your family and your uncle starts telling you about how he thinks the earth is flat. Or you go to Christmas dinner and your brother-in-law is telling you about how he thinks that aliens control Joe Biden or some other thing like that, right? Well, in the age of QAnon, it unified all of the conspiracy theorists into a single umbrella. So it used to be everybody believed in these odd conspiracy theories, and none of them were really cohesive, and none of them really believed all the same ones. QAnon brings them all in together under the same umbrella, and they all believe the same conspiracy theories reliably across the board. Chemtrails and the cabal and, all of the other stuff that comes with it. So it seems like QAnon is more widespread than it is, but it's always been roughly 15% of the population that has believed in conspiracies. So anyways, I don't think that QAnon would have not formed if ranked choice voting existed, but I think the country would have been a much better place if ranked choice voting did exist from the start. And honestly, I think it can only get better if we add ranked choice voting. It would be fantastic if we had something like that.
Hi, Owen. This is Sam from Illinois. My partner and I have been talking about having kids in the future, and one thing that keeps coming up is, school violence. And I know that that's not a terribly monetizable thing, but I'm wondering with your daughter how how you send her off to school in the morning thinking that something might happen. I'm sorry if it's a dark question. I'm just curious about your thoughts on it. Thanks so much.
I understand. It is an extremely concerning thought in the back of your head. Absolutely. There are a few things that I use to kind of calm my mind. For one thing, schools have gotten very adept at protecting kids from that kind of thing. They do lockdown drills, and they have, bulletproof things to protect them from stuff like that. They have emergency protocols to help in that type of situation, and those emergency protocols are only going to get better. Those emergency protocols and protections will only get better moving forward. That's number one. Number two, they're actually not as common as it feels like they are. I mean, how many have we had? Let's see. 2022 has been the worst year on record with 257 on school campuses, passing the 250 total for all of 2021. In 2020, there were 114 incidents logged. 2019 has 119 logged. So that's a lot. That's a lot, right? 257. But when you think about it, I mean, how many schools are there in the United States? There are 98,817 public schools in the United States. So 98,755 in 2018 to 2019 divided by, say, 257 attacks, right? That's 0.26% of the time you'll have to deal with this. So it's wrong and evil that it's happening at all, and the outrage is justified that this is happening. And we must force senators and House members to do something about it. We must. It is extremely important. But as a percentage, you're very unlikely to deal with this type of situation personally. And if you do, there are protections in place to ensure that you will hopefully be safe. We'll leave it at that. And also, I live in an area that heavily restricts guns. It's very difficult to have a gun and carry one around in my area. If you can find an area that prevents guns from being around, it's that much less likely that you'll have to deal with this type of situation yourself. There hasn't been a school shooting in my area in ever, I don't think. In New York City, I don't know that there has ever been one. Maybe 20 or 30 years ago there was. Doesn't mean I'm not prepared. Doesn't mean I don't think about it or worry about it. Doesn't mean that I don't try to do these drills and explain things, make sure that everybody is safe and everyone understands what needs to be done and all that stuff. And it doesn't mean I don't push congressmen to do something about this. I absolutely do all that stuff. But the likelihood of it happening to us is very low. Honestly, the likelihood of it happening to any single individual is very low. So that gives me a little bit of peace of mind. But good luck. Hopefully that helped with your peace of mind.
Hey, Owen, this is Andrew from Saskatchewan, Canada again. I just have a question related to YouTube and stuff like that. Like, specifically, what is your plan B for when you get removed out of YouTube? Like, let's say you do coffee strikes and stuff like that, or strikes on YouTube for no reason at all, or whatever, and then your channel goes down, like your entire channel goes down, like a snap of a finger.
Yeah, that's a good question. It is pretty concerning that YouTube could delete my channel at any moment. I was really worried about that like a few months ago because they were giving me a lot of strikes before. And as a result, I started a Twitch channel. I started multiple other YouTube channels where I do a bunch of other stuff, like my Unfiltered channel, my Fireside chat channel, my main channel, Owen Morgan, and then my Telltale Reads channel. I'm on Twitter. I'm on practically every social media network. Plus, I have my main website. I figure if my channel was straight up deleted, I would probably start working on Twitch primarily and also my main website. I would add Google ads to my main website more than likely and start posting there. Just telltaleatheist.com probably. And I'd also have Patreon, of course, and that would be a really good hub for people to find me because I can post videos on Patreon just like anywhere else. So anyway, that's probably what I would do. It would be really hard, be concerning, but I would find a way. I would make my way through it. And worst case, if everything was deleted, literally everything, and I had nothing left, and I couldn't be a social media person anymore, I would probably go back to software engineering. Or I would help other people manage their social media networks. That would be my guess, but hopefully I never have to worry about it. With such a slim majority in House, would R get their ridiculous revenge agenda in? No. It's not happening. Biden is also capable of vetoing any bill passed through the House and Senate. Now, that means if the Republicans controlled the House and the Senate, which they don't, but if they did, they would be able to pass bills through. They could pass them through the House and into the Senate. Senate would have a simple majority. They would vote on the bill and push it through, right? But Biden is the president. He's a Democrat, and that means he has the power to veto any bill that he wants to veto. Just erase it from existence. It won't be pushed through. They can overrule or override that veto by getting a supermajority of, I think, 66 votes in the Senate, maybe, if they chose to try to override the veto. They wouldn't have 66 votes anyways. So even if Republicans controlled the House and the Senate in a majority, they wouldn't be able to do anything anyways. They would still be stuck, gridlocked for the next 2 years. So we're safe. We're safe for 2 more years. Even if they get the House, we're safe. Even if they got the House and the Senate, we would be safe, I think. So that's good news. Let me ask you guys something. What do you guys think? Do you like my living room better as the background for my stream? This is what it looks like. This is my living room. Or would you rather my traditional background, which looks like this? I like this one pretty well, but I've caught word that some people would really prefer this instead. So let me know what you guys want more in the comments, and maybe I'll make that a reality. Daniel Carter, is Mike Lindell behavior part of his addiction personality, BTW, detoxing from opiates right now? That's a good question. I'm not sure. It's hard to tell, really, but it may be linked to addiction. It may be. Here's the thing about NA and AA. NA and AA as institutions don't really solve your problem. They replace your problem with Jesus. Religion and drugs or alcohol act on the same part of the brain as each other. So NA and AA decided to try to erase drugs and put God in its place, which has had some moderate success. Secular therapy is dramatically more successful, so there's never any reason why somebody should go to NA or AA. But replacing God with drugs has had some moderate success, and that is generally what Mike Lindell did, I believe. Except Mike Lindell didn't just replace the drugs with God. He replaced it with core beliefs, which include religion and politics. So believing in Donald Trump, or believing that Donald Trump is like some secret hero that's going to come in and fix everything and that he'll be back any second, is part of his, almost like a religious belief to Mike Lindell, effectively right now, which is disturbing on a number of levels. So it's possible that a lot of this comes down to his addiction and his attempt to escape it, but there's no way of really knowing for sure either way. And generally, I don't like to speculate about people or their personal lives or whatever if I can avoid it. But it seems like that probably does play some type of role. That's my guess. Marjorie Taylor Greene is not gone, sadly. She's in a safe district. Have you guys ever noticed how the most loud and obnoxious Republicans out there are all in safe districts that they don't have to worry about being voted out? That's not a coincidence. It's not just like, wow, what are the chances they're in a safe district and they're loud? They're loud and obnoxious and conspiracy theorists and all that because they're in safe districts. Imagine how many other Republican representatives are out there that believe the most bat-crazy ideas in existence. You think Marjorie Taylor Greene is weird with her Jewish space laser stuff? We haven't heard anything I'd be willing to bet there are way crazier Republicans out there that have way more off-the-wall beliefs, but they won't say them because they're not in a safe district and they have to worry about re-election. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, Madison Cawthorn thought he was in a safe district. He wasn't, as it turns out. You piss off the Republican Party and you're going to lose your primary, which is exactly what happened to him. I mean, all of these people, Matt Gaetz too, they're all in safe districts. And as a result, don't worry about it. They don't worry about losing their seats, although Boebert was probably a little more confident than she should have been. It looks like she's probably going to win against Adam Frisch, tentatively, but boy, was it close. One more election, and they could absolutely get her out.